stuff. This is your product. It must kind of fill you with pride. So my last question here is we've talked about the impact on Magmic with as a result of New York Times, the ability to increase distribution or awareness through the New York Times, certainly solidify the brand as one of the premier distributors of mobile entertainment. But what is it? What's the impact been on the company internally, right? We had a quick conversation about this last week about you thought that when you look at the New York Times and the how good that app has to be, you kind of look at the other properties and say, okay, well, now we have a benchmark that we have to achieve. Is talk about that.
Well, I mean, the New York Times property itself, we knew we were going to have to, hit one out of the ballpark for that. We knew that we had to deliver, the best experience to users. It couldn't be second best. It couldn't be, just another product we put out the door. Not just because it had to go through an approval process for a major brand, but because we knew customers were expecting that experience when they saw that brand on it. So, we have used various different design and development processes and product management processes within Magmic over the years, and having a major brand like that and being forced to adhere to a high standard of quality really helps us scope and shape our internal processes to make sure that we produce something of the highest quality. And it's, New York Times is a fantastic partner to work with. They're very, very engaged in their mobile products. They're really active and excited about making their products great and working with us to do that. So, working with the New York Times hand in hand to design and develop that product was really an experience for us that was similar to some of the other licensing relationships we've been in, where we've been kind of tasked with, go out, design it, and come back and we'll just kind of check mark it off and say, yes, it meets our general standards quality. The New York Times was much more involved, which was great for us because, as a developer and a publisher working with a brand, your biggest concern is, well, I need to make sure that, it's a great product and it's going to get approved by somebody else at the licensing partner. So the more you can be in tune and work closely with the licensing partner, the less cycles of approval you go through at the end, and the more that your product meets their expectations, which also helps to meet your sales expectations, because they'll be more interested in marketing and selling as well. So the impact on Magmic has really been to help us refine our process for designing and developing products internally. The good practices we've used for New York Times and the iteration we've gone through on that product and that design, will spill over into future products that we're developing.
I see, and that's a key thing, is that when you have to stand or rise above everything else, because it's a fairly crowded market, and there's some consolidation, but it keeps getting bigger and bigger. You have to, every customer that you bring in, like the New York Times or like anybody, you have to learn from them and learn from that process, and then apply that across the organization and make it better. Ultimately, is what ends up happening. What about some advice? Last little piece of advice for any of these any mobile developers out there that are looking at this, saying, I don't have the New York Times. I can't get the New York Times because I'm a guy or two that are just starting out and trying to figure it out. I'm going to build some IP and get it out on the App Store and App World and whatever comes next. What kind of advice can you give them about doing these things?
Well, pay attention to what your users are saying about your products. So don't design and develop your products in a vacuum. You don't have to do bi-weekly iterations of your product and get feedback on them, but don't spend 9 months developing a product and then let somebody try it out and decide whether they think it's good or not, and go, oh, but we were planning on releasing it next week. You need to bring your users in early. You need to also accept the value that publishers can bring to you as a small developer. Traditionally in game development, publishers and developers, developers always hated publishers because they said, well, we built the product. What's the value that publishers bring? The publishers are saying, look how much money we're spending on managing and marketing and getting this out to market. It's different. The people that work in development shops and publishing shops have different mindsets. They're different people, and they understand different parts of the business and the ecosystem of selling products. So, finding a publisher that can help you get visibility on your product will be key. You can be one of the 10,000 people submitting applications to Apple every month, And the 2 products a month that get cult appeal do fantastic, and those developers make a lot of money. But the other, 999 developers that were submitting applications, theirs got lost in the shuffle, lost in the fold. And without a big product catalog, it's hard to get a lot of users to see your products. So, design and develop your products with the users in mind. Make sure you get the feedback, early in the process from what users like, and find a partner that can help you market your product, especially for your first few products, until you can kind of get a reputation and decide whether or not you as a developer want to invest in a sales and marketing team, or whether you think that cost is best left as a revenue share deal with the publisher.
Oh, that's good advice. Well, Jeff, look, thanks very much for doing this. I really appreciate your time on this and the insight that you've given us around the New York Times crossword puzzle. Your thoughts on best practices, this is I think about this often, is that Ottawa's a very tight-knit mobile community, because we oftentimes share resources across companies, including with RIM and a number of other developers in the city. I got to say that it's always been, I always learn stuff from you, and I really appreciate you doing this. And for those of you who don't know Jeff, you will. He's the smartest guy in mobile, in my opinion, and I really appreciate you coming on and doing this.
No problem. And from what you've just said, I think that you're also a quite smart person in mobile.
That's right. That's Jeff Bacon. He's the Director of Product Management over at Magmic, and we've been talking about the New York Times crossword puzzle for iPhone, BlackBerry, and J2ME on untether.tv. Thanks, Jeff.
No problem.